So last time we did cylinders and ellipses, and this log isn't a whole lot different from those cylinders and ellipses. Of course, one major difference is that it is an organic object as opposed to a manufactured object, right? So none of those are perfect circles. They're all irregular. And you can kind of see on this log that there's some, you see these little lines that someone has drawn with chalk all throughout to indicate the roundness of the object. We're going to look at the roundness of the object. So we're going to draw not only what we can see on the front, but also what we would imagine it would look like on the back, as if it had these cross contour lines going all throughout, okay? Once again, we always have that objective of filling the space. I have set up my easel so that my paper is vertical because there's more vertical space on that log and those branches than there is horizontal space. Okay, so I may start simply by kind of gesturing in. I'm looking at negative spaces, not just the positive space, but we're going to gesture the shape in. Which means that we're going to draw it fairly quickly, right? And make sure that everything fits. So if we have to make it smaller, in my case, we may do that. There's the base here. There's the branch that comes off here. This branch is here. There's that nice negative space right through here. Okay, so I've got a good gestural map of what this looks like. How many times did I go around before settling in on it? Did anyone count? About 3 times, yeah. And there was no chicken scratching or anything like that. Now, I'm going to go in and get in a few more details here. Kind of like our little cylinders and ellipses kind of exercise. I'm going to go around. These two actually kind of intersect each other. And there's another one up here. I started drawing kind of light. Hope the camera can see this. There's that negative space there. Okay. Here we're coming down here, and then there's another kind of foreshortened branch right over here. And it connects onto the main trunk about like this. This branch connects on over here, kind of like this. Okay. And down here at the bottom, I'm guessing that that kind of bottom shape would be about like that, sitting on the surface of the table. Okay. This branch kind of connects on over here. Kind of draw those connections. Okay. So I've got the basic shape there, how they connect on to each other, what those, those truncations might look like as if they were ellipses. And I'm going to go through now, and I'm going to draw the rest of this as if it has rings around it, okay? About every 2 inches or so. And let's make the rings on the front a little bit, the ones we could actually see if we actually had rings on there, a little darker than the ones on the back, okay? We want to make it look round. Be a little bit bigger. We'd have rings coming in here. They may not be totally regular. You know, they might change in angle as they go up on a branch, or as the branch kind of turns a corner. I'm going through this kind of fast. You kind of want to reach out mentally, kind of touch that form. What would its shape be? This big challenge here where we have intersections as well. Or where there's a foreshortened branch like this one. This one kind of comes around like that. Some people call this a motor stroke of sorts. I don't know why motor is the term, but you kind of act as a motor. Your arm is kind of motoring through. There's kind of a certain point where everything sort of activates. And you kind of create that circuit. Remember when we were talking about that reading that we read about the lobster and two fishes? You get into that circuit, everything is starting to warm up. At this point, I'm not even lifting my arm. Kind of perceiving the mass and volume of that big stump there. Let's see, this kind of comes down a little further. can't think of it as scribbling necessarily. It's the pencil is following your perception of the mass and volume of that form. Really good mental exercise to draw something's mass and volume, not just the lines that outline it or describe it. Okay. Those of the students at home will have to find some trees somewhere to do this very thing. Big branches and stumps. And one of the main things I really want you to do is to get into that zone in your head where you're really drawing that mass and form with that motor stroke. Okay? It can't just be a hoop that you jump through. You have to find your way into that zone.